And let's start at the San Siro. Because I was there. No,
Yeah.
I think arguably the marquee matchup, or one of the marquee matchups, certainly in terms of history. 20 years or 20 seasons since Istanbul.
Yeah.
Milan get off to a great start. Christian Pulisic scores. And then really the bottom falls out. And the upshot of this now is that if they lose the derby on Sunday, Paulo Fonseca will be in serious trouble.
Yeah.
And Liverpool, on Arne Slot's birthday,
Yeah,
no less,
46 years old. Happy birthday.
they look pretty effortless.
Yeah, I can't really tell if it's because there's too much difference in level and talent and structure tactically between the two teams, because I was very disappointed by Milan's performance overall past those first 10 minutes or so. And I thought Liverpool were really good in midfield, bossing it again and dominating that area, being a threat on the left-hand side, especially with Gakpo for his first start of the season ahead of Luis Diaz. They could have scored easily 4, 5, 6. I mean, Mo Salah hit the bar twice. Yeah. So I'm not sure if it's a massive credit to Liverpool for being so good or if Milan was just average on the night too.
Hey, Milan were
both.
poor, and the fans let them know. But I think from Liverpool's perspective, again, I don't think they were poor against Nottingham Forest at the weekend, but they did lose that game at home. And so I think, Slot, first game for Liverpool in the Champions League, coming off a defeat, making changes. I don't think it's easy for him. Now, you can say Milan made it easy for him with the 2 set-piece goals. Mike Maignan having to come off.
Yeah.
But he was clearly, I was there, you could clearly see he was injured.
Even before coming off,
Even before coming on. And I think, by the way, there's a whole issue there, which is that his backup goalkeeper is Marco Sportiello, but he got injured during the preseason tour.
Yeah.
And then they chose, he's not going to be back, I think, until June. They chose not to bring in a veteran. And so when Maignan eventually had to come off at the start of the second half, they brought in this kid, Toriani, who last season was the 3rd choice goalkeeper on Milan's under-19 teams, on the Primavera team. Again, planning, team building, definitely suboptimal. Milan MS, did you like what Ibrahimovic said?
I kind of expected him to be doing the rounds of TV before the game.
Did you expect him to come in and say, I'm the boss, everybody here works for me?
Yeah, I mean, knowing Ibra like we do, and we've interviewed him on this show before, it's not surprising. I'm not sure how Jerry Cardinale and people who are supposed to be above Ibra, who's officially just an advisor, right?
He's
officially
a consultant.
Consultant, sorry. That's
although he's on the board of Redbird, if you look on their website.
Yeah, that's true. I'm not sure how you feel about that, but the relationship between him and Jerry is very, very tight, right? So I'm sure they trust each other fully.
Look, I think Ibra looks silly when he comes out to do that. There's a great... if you go on YouTube, there's a great skit, Adam Sandberg skit from Saturday Night Live, called "Like a Boss," where that came back to mind when he comes in and says, "I'm the boss," right? But equally, this means, Ibra, you're the boss. They all work for you. You're in charge. This means you have accountability. Yeah. This means that you are responsible. And we can mock Ibra for coming across slightly like a doofus when he says that. Yeah. But equally, part of the message means, okay, I'm taking responsibility for where we are now. And I think that's significant. On the Liverpool end, I was there with Mark Ogden, and he was all ready to slaughter. Trent Alexander-Arnold's going to be a shambles. And I kind of thought, I created a parallel in my mind: Trent versus Leao, right? Mm-hmm. 2 players who are extremely good at times at doing certain things and extremely bad at others. Yeah, I thought Trent actually played well.
Yeah, I mean, Fonseca after the game explaining that the game plan, which the players didn't respect fully, was to start on the right and then diagonal to isolate Leao 1v1 with Trent and to go at him, which they never really did. No. So I don't know if that was really the plan and the players didn't do what Fonseca asked. The idea was good. I mean, it's a no-brainer that you and I could have been the Milan coach. We would have tried to do that, obviously. But yeah, I thought Trent, and also the delivery on that first goal, which is the key goal really to come back to 1-1 after the poor start they had. But Trent was very good on the ball once more.
All right, Jules, we've praised Liverpool. We've praised Trent. Obviously, I think everybody knows his contract is up on June 30th, 2025. I think nights like these really, really help him. And I look, when I wonder how do you approach the Trent situation from Liverpool's perspective, I said, you got to let Slot judge him, evaluate him, see what he means to this team, put a value on what he means to this team, put that number in front of him in November, and then if you can't get it done, you can't get it done. Right?
Yeah.
There was no point extending him in the summer to some gigantic contract when Slot says, I don't want this kind of right back.
No, true. That's true. I would be very surprised if Slot didn't want to keep him. I think from a club's point of view, he is such an important part of what you do because he's obviously the local boy from the academy, etc., etc. On top of being an amazing player, certainly on the ball, defensively, of course, he can be better, he can improve. There's no doubt. I think it would be a massive mistake to let him go as a free agent. Even if there was a transfer fee involved, I don't think Liverpool right now can afford to let Alexander-Arnold go. For me, it's as simple as that. And I just think that if you look at the Van Dijk and the Salah situation, which is the same one as Trent, I can live with Van Dijk going. I'm not sure Liverpool can really live with Trent going. I really don't think so. He's such a symbol of that club. He's so important. He's a future captain. And personally, I think it'd be a mistake. No, at all cost. I agree with you in terms
That's
of...
what I mean. There's a number on it. You have a built-in substitute. You can say you can live with Van Dijk going. Interestingly, you don't mention the other free agent, Mohamed Salah. It may come down to a decision because ultimately it's about resource allocation, right?
Yeah.
So, but I think we agree on the most important thing where you have to have Slot's input.
Yeah.
And this is why I think it was the right decision not to extend him, before Slot's arrival, before Slot could give time to work with him. Now, in terms of Milan, where they are, I want to mention a quick thing about the pricing and the crowd. I read I won't name them, but I read people saying, "Oh, look, large numbers of empty seats in the San Siro, blah, blah, blah." It shows that the fans don't like the new Champions League format, right? Which is a moronic thing to say. The two things are definitely not linked. But it is interesting. It shows the importance of pricing to the fans. Yeah. Milan had 71,000, which is pretty much a sellout for their home game the weekend before against a very prestigious opponent like Venezia.
Yeah.
Then Liverpool come for the Champions League, arguably their most prestigious home game in the Champions League. And that number goes down to nearly 60,000, just under 60,000. And the reason is pretty obvious. And you could see in the stadiums, the seats that were empty were the most expensive seats.
Yeah.
And by the way, they were only 10,000 short, right? Those are 10,000 unsold tickets. Then you look at the ticket prices, and the cheapest ticket available that went unsold cost more than the most expensive regular adult seat at Anfield. Right. So we're talking, prices that to an NFL fan may not be huge, but, we're talking maybe close to $80. The more expensive ones were considerably more than that. And fans saying, no, I don't want to do this. I got the derby next weekend and so on. It just shows how important it is to get it right.
We've had the case at Aston Villa and their pricing for their home games.
Exactly.
I think at Man City as well. Yesterday, Rob Dawson was saying that some fans were not happy with how much the ticket cost for that Inter Milan game. It is an issue.
Word on Christian Pulisic. Obviously, dream start.
Yeah, great goal.
Great ball from Morata.
Yeah.
I kind of felt that a lot of Milan this season was going to be how Morata interacts with whoever's over on the right, and it will be Pulisic a lot of the time because Fonseca wants to. He thought of the 4-2-3-1 with Pulisic in the hole. I don't think we're going to see that anytime soon.
No, I agree.
But that was kind of all we saw.
And maybe the fact that Morata got injured in the first Serie A game of the season, so hasn't really played much with either Leao or Pulisic, and you need game time to be able to know each other and gel and understand exactly your movement and how to play together. But there was not enough of that. And again, I don't know if it's because Liverpool was just too good and too hard to play against, because Milan's midfield was overrun, exactly, and bossed by McAllister, Gravenberch especially, and Szoboszlai, or if they should have done more on the night, or all that front three, and maybe even for Fana, Reinders and Loftus-Cheek as well. So I don't know, but if they find it hard against Liverpool on Tuesday night, I think they're going to find it almost impossible against Inter Milan at the weekend.
Yeah, also because Fonseca is not going to just... A different manager against Inter would set up like, all right,
Yeah,
I need to save my job. Let's get a draw in the derby, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. Let's park the bus. Fonseca's not going to do that, and it's a credit to him that he doesn't view football that way. He talked about how Fofana was supposed to be the big balancer in the midfield because you have this, large, high-energy guy runs around, gives you that defensive basis, which... Loftus-Cheek is a big fella, but he's not a defensive midfielder.
no, definitely not.
Reinder's also high energy, but not that kind of player.
Yeah,
It's a big ask of a guy. Fofana just arrived. I think this was maybe his second start. I just don't know, though, how you're going to balance it out if, that two-man midfield, as you like to say, which is a Fonseca hallmark, against more gifted opponents or opponents that are on your same technical level, if not higher.
Yeah.
You can't. It's really difficult to carry that unless you have a constant threat from Leao, which you don't have.
Yeah, and I think the Benassia injury, with another injury for a very long time again, is also a problem because I think Benassia and Fofana could work in certain games, in certain situations. I was really, really not convinced by that midfield on Tuesday. And again, the Liverpool midfield, as we've been saying, even if it's new for Gravenberch and to play with McAllister, etc., they were way above Milan, and it was too easy for them at times. But yeah, that's I think a problem for Fofana. I love Fofana, Paris born and bred. Obviously, it's a massive task. He really wanted the move, and it's great for him to got that move to Milan. But he's got a lot of work to do and a lot of work on his own as well, I think, and that's not going to be easy.
It was interesting being with the fans before the game. Like afterwards, there's this ritual that Milan do, Bayern do, a lot of clubs do it, where after the game you go and you thank the fans and you go under the ultras, under the curva, right? Which, as long as you're winning, they all applaud you, sing your name. When you lose, you take the abuse. We've talked about it. Some ex-pros that we know absolutely hate it. They're like, no, I've done my job. Why should I have to go and indulge them, right? Others see this as, no, these are the people who are there supporting you, whatever. But they went there and they got a ton of abuse. Even in the final minutes of the game, they said, let's see some intestinal fortitude. Cojones, there you go. I genuinely get the sense that the anger of the fans right now isn't at Fonseca. It's at the players for what they see as a perceived lack of personality, a perceived lack of effort, which I think is wrong because guys like Tomori have a lot of personality. Guys like Fofana supposedly does when he gets there. Pavlovic as well. Magic Mike certainly.
Yeah.
Is it a positive or a negative when the anger is more when like the fans say like I'm not going to go and throw the coach under the bus, that's too easy. Yeah. But I take the issue. I take issue with the players. Yeah,
I think that's probably more worrying really than anything else. And we know the fans don't really like Fonseca because they didn't want him there in the first place. So
well,
more than Lopetegui, but it was still not the dream appointment for them in the summer. So I don't know. I'm not sure what's going to happen if they lose the derby on Sunday. What happened to Fonseca? What happened to those players? Where do you go from there even? Because we've been saying there's clearly a lack of... I'm not sure. Talent probably in certain positions for sure.
Right back. Yeah.
I mean, Emerson, why even going there in the first place? Calabria. That foul for the first goal by the corner flag, or not far from the corner flag, is completely stupid.
For which he got booked or for which he complained.
And then obviously Liverpool scores and make it 1-1 and don't understand it whatsoever. So there's clearly a few issues and the way they built that squad, but it's still not a bad squad at all, I think, right for Serie A. Is Fonseca the right guy though? Do they really listen to him? We know the Leao Theo clash that they had with him. I'm just not sure. I watched that game, and again, you had a different vibe feeling because you were there. But on television, it looked like I'm not sure if his instructions really were either understood or
executed.
Or went, exactly by the players.
And well, we'll see how it goes. If only, you know what Milan need? They need a real warrior, veteran, ex-pro who can inspire the players, who can be the link man between the owners and the dressing room and the media. Oh, yeah.
Oh.
And after his few days off for personal reasons, he's back. That's right. Like a boss, Zlatan Ibrahimovic. All right, enough Milan, enough Liverpool. How about some quick hits instead?
Let's go, Gab.
Inter travel to the Etihad and hold Manchester City to a scoreless draw. Jules, was it that Simone Inzaghi tactical voodoo once again? And is it odd to you how interchangeable his players are? Dumfries, Lautaro, and Pavard all starting on the bench.
Yeah, I mean, tactically, which we expected, really. Very good again. From Inter, the back five, how the fluidity even, interchanging positions, everything you want, the way they can build up as well and beat the City press. They, certainly in the first half, created the best chances, and on the counter, could have done better, should have done better. There's a big one at the end for Darmian that I thought Simone Inzaghi was ready to come on the pitch and cut his head off.
So this is where Darmian backheels the ball.
Why?
To Barella. So supposedly, Barella supposedly called for it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Darmian, I'm assuming, is not the greatest finisher in the world.
No.
Look, when you're effectively a center back running at full sprint and you backheel the ball, not an easy skill, and he really messed it up.
Yeah, but I mean, Dumfries and Darmian, maybe slightly more defensive for Darmian if you play him as a right wing back than Dumfries. So you could see Bisek for Pavard, but it showed again, I think, how underrated Simone Inzaghi is as a coach to start with, and how good this Inter team is. And City in the second half had chances. Gundogan should have scored, maybe Foden as well. But overall, you go to the Etihad, it's only the second time in the last 36 games or something like that City don't score. So
Erling Haaland, one shot on goal.
Yeah.
Pocket. Did you like that at the end with they
Acerbi?
end up embracing it? Acerbi's inside his head.
Oh my God. He kept putting it the whole game. Welcome to Italian defending. And before that game, Gabi, Rodri spoke out about fixtures congestion and top players facing too many games and having to play too many games, and he used the word strike, which still seems unthinkable.
Yeah, and look, I mean, Maheta Malango, who is the head of the Players Football Association in this country, spoke about it too, but he said it wouldn't affect domestic games. It's an international issue, international competitions. Like I've said it before, if you have an issue, you have agency. Do something about it. And so credit to Rodri for speaking out. Now we see if they have the follow through. All I'm saying is if you're going to follow through, then you also need to have a conversation that, okay, we get this much amount of money from gate receipts, and in our salary, there is a slice of your salary that comes from the exposure and the revenue that these international competitions bring.
Yeah.
So that this is what you have to put on the line. And the one thing I disagree with him, and unfortunately people keep forgetting this, right? Yes, he may end up playing 50, 60, 70 games a year. Most players do not. The vast majority of your fellow pros do not. And this is the same issue for the Players Union. The vast majority of these people are not Rodri. They don't get to the final of international competition, finals of Champions Leagues. So, you can't say like he did. He says, ask any player and they'd say the same, that it's time to strike because we play too many games. No. Because it's a different landscape out there. There is no one size fits all. Aston Villa win 3-0 away to Young Boys, Jules, after some early nerves, some early chances. They didn't look back. And it's our boy Tielemans again.
Yeah, Tielemans again. I mean, you would expect the first 10, 15 minutes because it's the Champions League and not many players in that team had played the Champions League. They played in Europe before, but not in the Champions League.
It's not like Young Boys have been like perennials.
No, true. It's a plastic pitch as well, which I think you need a bit of time to adapt to. Young Boys are not very good. I mean, they run a lot and they have a lot of energy, but that's not...
They're Young Boys.
That's not enough against a team like Villa. Great first goal on set pieces. We're going to name check again the specialist set piece coach, Austin McPhee. Well done. And then after that, they could have scored 4 or 5 easily. Watkins, John Duran had a goal disallowed as well. Rogers was great. Ramsey was great. They're just so lovely, and they've got that momentum now. Great start of the season for them. Great start of their Champions League campaign. The day after Gary Shaw passed away as well, one of their club's legends. So I think it meant a lot as a football club and for the fans to get such a great win to start with. Bayern destroyed Dinamo Zagreb 9-2 in Munich on Tuesday, and Harry Kane scores 4. Gab, are you impressed with company ball?
I am a little too impressed. I mean, Dinamo Zagreb were really poor.
So bad.
Equally, and they highlighted this, they scored 2 goals in quick succession, which means that one of the flip sides of if you're going to play this way with these players, you can't let the concentration drop. And by the way, when people say like, oh, but it's the same coach, there's this, the difference between playing company ball with Bayern and with Burnley is that with Bayern, you will have players that are substantially better. Yeah. So in some ways, the drop in concentration hurts you more because if you're Burnley, you will lose the ball and then you have to defend. And when you defend, you stay concentrated. So no, looks good so far. I'm happy for Harry Kane. Let's move on.
Yeah.
A Saudi YouTuber named Abu Omar got access to Al Nassr's dressing room as part of an esports competition. And Jules, he took the opportunity to troll Cristiano.
Yeah, that's right. He's a massive Barcelona and Messi fan. You can see that on social media. So he did the celebration with the hands behind his ears. That Messi did in the past in the Al Nassr dressing room where Cristiano sits. I mean, I don't know if it was exactly where Cristiano sits, but
it was right in front of his locker, unless there's another number 7 on the team.
Yeah, exactly. So, you can just imagine the picture. Al Nassr not happy at all, obviously. Loads of trolling, loads of social media arguments and etc.
Their statement is a little ominous, saying like, they said whatever, it's unacceptable because he's a guest, fine. But he said, like, we have instructed the relevant internal departments to deal with this matter immediately in order to preserve the moral and material rights of the club. Don't get so high on yourself. Seriously, like, and you know what? I know trolls, I mean, the Cristiano haters are going to say, oh, Cristiano's offended, Cristiano's making them do this. I don't think Cristiano cares about this. I don't think he knows who Abu Omar is.
Yeah.
But you know what? Maybe Al Nassr know what they're doing because this gets us to talk about him and it creates more publicity for Abu Omar and for Al Nassr.
Yeah, maybe. Gab, the top scorer of the 1990 World Cup, Salvatore Toto Schillaci, has passed away aged 59 yesterday. This was a fairy tale.
Yeah, I mean, the 1990 World Cup, I think, so relevant for people of a certain generation for so many reasons. Yeah. It was obviously the Gascoigne's tears. It was the World Cup that it was all set up for Italy to win, and for me, it was a traumatic memory of my youth. Although I was very cynical back then, I thought, okay, don't worry, we got this because we're at home, we have a good relationship with FIFA and everything. And then, hey, it didn't happen. So like, oh, actually, sometimes you actually have to play the game and win them. But Schillaci, he's from Sicily. He's very kind of sort of stereotypically, he fits a certain idea of a certain stereotypical person from Palermo, which is where he's from. He was in Serie B. He was an okay goal scorer. He has one big season at Messina and then goes to Juve, gets included in the World Cup squad. Mark Ogden's like, I see this guy and he looks like a runt next to people like Baggio and Mancini and Vialli. And yet he was the protagonist of that World Cup, scored a bunch of goals. The remarkable thing about him is he's got this incredible underdog story, underdog quality to him. But then his career totally stalled after that. Went to Inter, didn't work out at all. They even canceled his contract so he could move to Japan. Bad injury. He retired with just 37 Serie A goals, which is pretty remarkable for a guy who is so iconic in the minds of so many people. And if you're a younger listener, just go on YouTube and watch the goal celebration with his eyes bulging out of his head. I mean, that is special.
Yeah.
All right, Jules, we're not done because we have more quick hits.
Yes.
Paris Saint-Germain leave it very, very late and get a lot of help from Paolo Gazzaniga, but they eventually overcome Girona 1-0. Jules, you feeling good about this?
Not really, no. I mean, they won, which I guess is the most important, but they should have won in a much better way, if you see what I mean.
They took like 26 shots on goal. They completely dominated.
The first half was dire. The first half was really dire from both teams, really. And I mean, Girona, credit to them for going to Paris and play their game. And yeah, they've got limitations because they lost their best players and the current players, some of them are not good enough for this level. But they went and there were no fears, trying to play out from the back, pressing high with intensity. The second half, PSG was so much better, so dominant, creating so many chances. And then, as we knew, now that Mbappe has left, you wonder where the goals are going to come from. And the lack of efficiency in this game is a reminder of all of that. So Colomwani, Hakimi, Dembele, you name them all. Nobody could score until this slightly deflected cross by Nuno Mendes that goes in between Gazzaniga's legs in this comical goal, really massive blunder. But PSG take that. It's just not that convincing, really.
Should have signed Osimhen, I told you.
Exactly. Stuttgart travel to the Bernabeu and give Real Madrid a scare. Though Ancelotti's crew eventually prevail and win 3-1. But Gab, this could easily have gone the other way.
Some might say should have gone the other way too. Thibaut Courtois making some huge saves. By the way, that third goal from Endrick, total garbage time, and the goalkeeper spilling into his own net. So impressed with Sebastian Hoeneß and Stuttgart. Look, we know Real Madrid are unbalanced. This game did absolutely nothing to show us that there's any more balance. Maybe it'll come eventually. I thought Tchouaméni would help. Helped a little bit, but also Tchouaméni and Valverde have to sit so deep and do all the running around.
Yeah,
I'm seriously starting to think longer term, I don't know that you can carry, unless Bellingham starts playing differently and sacrifice himself.
Yeah,
I don't think you can carry Bellingham, Vini, and Mbappe. And I think you need to seriously start thinking, is there a possibility? But there isn't, right? Because of those three, Bellingham is really the only saleable asset.
Yeah,
nobody's going to give you money for Vinicius. He's not going to want to leave. Mbappe's obviously different. But yeah, this is not easy to work out.
Definitely.
Speaking of Real Madrid, Ferland Mendy is reportedly going to get a 2-year extension through 2027, Jules. He's 29 and his current deal is up in June.
Yeah, I mean, Carlo really wants him to stay, which I like, and I like Ferland Mendy.
I presume he wants to stay. Where else is he going to get a job like Real Madrid?
No, Carlo wants Mendy to stay.
Yeah, and I'm assuming more importantly, Mendy wants to stay.
Mendy wants to stay, of course. Of course he does. But what happens to Alphonso Davies then, who I thought was coming? Or you have them both? No.
Can I tell you? Foreshadowing.
Yeah.
You get you keep your defensive left back like Mendy, so that you can sign an attacking right back, because Carvajal and Lucas Vázquez are getting older. Attacking right back, like say Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Oh, nice.
I think that is the master plan. If they can pull it off.
Kenan Yildiz channels his inner Del Piero. Weston McKennie gets on the score sheet, and Thiago Motta's Juventus rolled to a 3-1 win at home over Peter Bosch and PSV. Gab, they look good.
They looked really good. I thought you would have loved that Kenan Yildiz goal.
God, goal. Youngest ever Juventus player in the Champions League, by the way.
Over traditionally,
Del Piero.
Well, traditionally,
you still beat Del Piero.
I know, tremendous. Traditionally, most Juve players are old.
Yeah,
but now this is new. This is Thiago Motta's shock therapy 2.0. Nice to see Weston McKennie on the pitch. With Motta, you don't close the door on anybody. Yeah. And Nico as well. I thought did well. Really well. PSV, they'd won 5 of 5. They scored a ton of goals, and I think they were hoping maybe to nick something, but big win to start it, and I think calms things down for Juve after the 2 scoreless draws. Arsenal kick off in a few hours away to Atalanta, but Jules, there's more bad news on the injury front. Mikel Arteta says Martin Ødegaard's ankle injury is, quote, quite significant, and he could be out, quote, a while. I love the scientific language from Arteta.
Yeah.
Reports suggest 4 to 5 weeks, maybe.
Yeah.
Hopefully not longer. If you're an Arsenal fan, it's not what you want to hear when you're going to face Pep Guardiola.
No, that's right. Although you kind of knew that it'd probably be too short maybe for both the Atalanta game on Thursday night and obviously the big game at City on Sunday. It's a shame. At least there's an international break coming up soon, which will take off a lot of that recovery time, you hope. And I don't know how you replace him. I don't think you can replace him player for player or position for position. You can put...
Maybe no, but he's injured too.
Yeah, exactly. You could have Trossard there. Havertz can play there. You can have a midfield 3 of Jorginho, Partey and Rice against City, for example. But can Jorginho play Spurs, Atalanta, and then City again?
No.
All in 8 days?
No.
I'm not sure. So a bit of a headache now, I think, for Arteta. This is also where you test the depth in your squad and come up with options. That's why you're the manager of a club like that. So let's see. But we wish him a speedy recovery because we always want to see the best players on the pitch. Barcelona also played tonight on Thursday night against Monaco in the Principality, and they too have bad news in their attacking midfield.
Yeah, Dani Olmo's going to be out 4 to 5 weeks, and you can insert joke here about how injury prone Dani Olmo is, but you feel bad for him. Yeah. Fermin Lopez also out. I think they just need to gut this one out. I don't know, play Pedri there, find another kid from La Masia to play with Casado in midfield. Yeah. The good news is Gavi back in training, although obviously it was a bad injury. It's going to be a slow burn.
Be careful,
De Jong, people's suggestions, he's on his way back as well. They need those guys. They need those guys because even when everybody's fit, this is not a very deep Barcelona squad in terms of experienced names. Right? They've pulled guys out of hats. And given the way Flick has started, it's a shame. And Monaco, not an easy out, I think, at all.
Oh, definitely.
Not for the first time this season, Jamie Gittins comes off the bench to turn the game, and Borussia Dortmund end up winning 3-0 away to Bruges. And Mr. Champions League, Hans van Aken, This was a smash and grab, right, Jules?
Yeah, they left it late. I think they scored the 3 goals after the 75th minute. Gittins, the first goal is a bit lucky with the deflection. The second goal is a beauty, 3-step overs in a very small space. Maybe the defense should have done better, but I thought Bruges played well. They played well in that game, and Dortmund, there was not much. And we go back to Nuri Sahin and what we said on Monday night, for example, on Monday show. Unlike, we're still waiting to see a little bit more collectively and the way
it's the collective thing, Jules. I know I got no problem with you changing things, but it seemed like the plan is, send him on and have him run at people, wait for something to happen.
Daniele De Rossi has been sacked as Roma manager, Gabi, after just 4 games in Serie A this season. Roma have just 3 points, no wins, but most of their new signings only arrived at the end of the transfer window. Florent Gislofi, the new French sporting director. Does this make sense to you to have got rid of De Rossi now? And what do you make of his replacement, Ivan Juric?
So Juric, you expect a lot of high intensity football. Fair enough. No, but this makes zero sense. Whenever you sack a manager in September, you have screwed up as a club. You've done something stupid, either at the time in sacking him or over the summer. So it's the first thing to think about. They'd only lost the 1 game, which is the other way to look at it. Yeah. And most of all, these players who came in, they all came in late in the window. Now, people joke about, we're really struck about the Friedkins. People have these stereotypes. Oh, American owners, they want accountability. The Friedkins don't think like American owners. The way they act, they act like Italian club presidents or owners from the 1980s, 1990s. Chuck a bunch of money in, lose a lot of money, sack this guy, hire that guy. It makes no sense. It makes no sense whatsoever. Yeah. And I think there must have been something else going on, which may or may not come out. Victor Gyökeres scores, and we also have an early goal of the season contender from Zeno de Bast as Sporting beat Lille 2-0. Jules, Lille didn't help themselves with that red card for Angel Gomez.
Yeah, no, I thought for the first half hour they were well organized. I mean, I didn't expect them to attack too much. I think they would have taken a draw easily in Lisbon. But the goal from Gyökeres was a great goal from a centre-forward point of view. Then after that, the second yellow for Angel Gomez. The first one, definitely yellow. The second one I thought was a little bit harsh in the middle of the pitch on Gyökeres. After that, there was just one team on the pitch, Sporting. And what a goal by De Bast from a centre-back.
Talk about leathering the ball.
Shot from 30 yards. Bomb, straight in the top corner. Well done, Ruben Amorim. They fully deserve that win. And for Lille, there's a lot of work to do for Pep Genesio. Bologna returned to the Champions League after 60 years, Gabi, and it's a 0-0 draw with Shakhtar. So why was Vincenzo Italiano all smiles at the end?
Because it's been 60 years. 60 years without the Champions League or the European Cup, of course, under the two towers. Look, they gave up the early penalty, which the guy missed, and then they came back and they attacked and they had fun. Part of the nice thing about the Champions League is for teams like Bologna, I mean, this is their party. Whatever happens all season long, this is special for the fans. Guess what? It's not just about you, Manchester United and Real Madrid and Juventus and Paris Saint-Germain fans. It's about Bologna as well. Brendan Rodgers and Celtic roll to a 5-1 home win against Slovan Bratislava. Jules, given their home record, which is actually pretty good historically in group stages, this format really helps teams like Celtic.
Yeah, and I think also the fact that there's a run of 32 before the last 16, which last 16 has always felt to be like a bit of a step too high for a team like Celtic, for example. You would finish third, maybe in your group, but not in the top 2. Now you've got this chance to go to that little playoff round, the last 32, and hope to make it for the last 16. So I thought they were. I mean, okay, Slovan Bratislava, a terrible team, but Celtic impressed me in the sense, which I know because I've watched them in the Old Firm derby not that long ago, and the intensity and the pressing and counter-pressing that they do is incredible. I mean, Maeda can run forever. It seems like it's incredible. He recovers the ball and he's sprinting again in the other direction. It's just wow. So well done to them. Really, really good performance. Great atmosphere. Great start. And if you think that with 10 points you probably make it to the playoff round, the last 32, then it just 2 more wins, and they're nearly there, and they've got young boys at home. They've got another game. They go to Dinamo Zagreb. They've got Bruges coming at Parkhead as well, at Celtic Park. So I think they can do it, and what an achievement that would be for Brendan Rodgers and his players. But really, really good performance. And Gab, how about some love for Sparta Prague and Victor Olatunji? They had less than 30% possession, but still destroyed Salzburg and Pep Linders 3-0.
Yeah, so I love this. I was cheering on Sparta Prague, and not
Such
just
a good
because
team.
they have a Nigerian striker, but I liked, obviously, the feelings that people have on the Red Bull group.
Yeah.
But I love this because it was like the epitome again of them denying Salzburg all their sterile possession. I think Reinders would have much rather had less possession.
Yeah, for sure.
And Olatunji, just watch the highlights of the second goal, the third one where he lays it off to the guy Lassa.
Lachi, who then sits down 3 players.
I mean,
That's so good.
he made them his female dogs there,
Yeah.
put it that way. So, yeah, well done. Anthony Taylor won't be officiating this weekend, or rather he'll be a fourth official, which is kind of basically
Same.
not officiating.
Yeah.
He received death threats following his 14 yellow cards in Chelsea's win at Bournemouth. Jules, there's some twisted minds out there.
Imagine getting up in the morning and thinking, I'm going to abuse that referee because he gave 14 yellows in a game that was an intense game. And yeah, maybe there's a few too many on descent and stuff like that. But just leave the guy alone, man.
I think this goes into a different bucket here. Just a couple things. First of all, like, this isn't like a referee you think is corrupt or makes a bad call that hurts your team and costs your team a trophy or relegation or whatever, which obviously nobody
Even
justifies that,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
But you can understand the fit.
Yeah.
This is a guy, I mean, look, Bournemouth will finish mid-table. This is a guy who showed a lot of yellow cards in the game, and I believe they were pretty evenly matched. I don't remember, I think it was 8 and 6, something like that.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So what? Did you bet the unders on the cards, or what? What could possibly possess you to get so wound up about this?
Weird.
And by the way, like, the police are investigating. I'm glad they're investigating. Hopefully they find these people. But at some point, Anthony Taylor is to come back. So just making him the fourth official so he's out of the firing line. Yeah, in the meantime, go and catch these people.
Yeah, I
if
agree.
there's death threats against him and his family. Do that first.
Definitely. Manchester United will consult their supporters about Jim Ratcliffe's vision on a £2 billion, 100,000 seat Wembley of the North brand new stadium, or whether they're better to renovate Old Trafford instead. It makes sense to you that they ask the fans in the consultation?
So I think everybody should do this. Yeah, it makes sense. Those are your customers, right?
Yeah.
Even at the very least, even if you lose the whole sense of community, whatever, those are the people who will be buying the tickets. What do they actually want from the club? Personally, when he floated Wembley of the North, whatever, I think you got the sense that he wants somebody else to help pay for it.
Yeah.
Nobody fell for that.
No.
If it's going to cost $2 billion, I suspect a lot of United fans might be like, all right, let's renovate Old Trafford and let's spend this money on the squad to make sure we stay ahead of things. It's a nice idea, but I don't know that a 100,000 seat stadium is going to generate that much more revenue to justify the expense, right? You're already top dog. You already have an enormous
But maybe
stadium.
you'll have better boxes and more
But again,
places for eat and bars and stuff within, because Old Trafford is not good for that either.
but that's again the issue with the boxes and stuff. Yes, you can sell a lot of high-priced tickets to all the Norwegians who come over.
Yeah.
But, ultimately the boxes, there's a finite number of really rich people or really rich corporates that are like, yeah, I'll happily spend 10 million. So they need to figure it out. But for me, what I find encouraging, and I've been critical of Ratcliffe at times, is they've opened it up to consultation with the fans, with the supporters trust and so on. At least their views will be on the record, whatever they decide.
Spurs winger Brennan Johnson is the latest to deactivate his Instagram account, social media account, after receiving abuse after the North London derby on Sunday. Gab and Postecoglou, the Spurs manager, said anonymous trolls deserve a punch in the nose. Do you agree?
So I know I'm supposed to say, like, oh, I'm against violence. We should rehabilitate these people. No, I'm all for the punch in the nose. If you go and you anonymously, without showing your face, I have much more respect. I was at San Siro. I heard ultras go and insult individual players.
Yeah.
Much more respect for that. Look somebody in the eye, right? But what kind of a twisted sado do you have to be to go and to send Brennan Johnson anonymous abuse from those anonymous accounts?
2024 we are.
A punch in the nose. Hey, you know what? I want their name out. I want their name out there on the internet. Nice searchable thing. Sorry, EU data protection. Maybe this is a Brexit dividend they could do in this country. Like, hey, look.
Good thing about it, yeah.
Find who they are and say, Mr. So-and-so of 18 Elm Lane in Bigginsworth, whatever, and have that live on the internet, sent this kind of abuse to Brennan Johnson on this day. and have that live on the internet forever, and see how you enjoy it when you go and apply for a job, when you go and try to, when you get married, whatever, when you have kids, when you can explain to your children. That, to me, is a punishment.
Yeah.
But I would enjoy seeing Ange punch people in the nose,
Yeah,
too.
of course, always.
Bordeaux are trying to rise from the ashes in the 4th division, and they've made an out-of-the-box signing. Jules, I love this story. The big man.
I think we all do, Gabby. Andy Carroll. That's right, the Andy Carroll from Newcastle, from Liverpool, from England. Former England international. He's going to play for Bordeaux in the 4th division. He's 35 or 36, I think. So clearly towards the back end of his career, I get that. And I don't know how much money he's going to get paid. Not much, that's for sure. But John Williams, the sporting director, who is quite well known within the industry, who took him to Amiens in the 2nd division last season when he was the sporting director, John Williams, now convinced him to come to Bordeaux and helped. It's a lovely part of the country, lovely part of France, great wine, obviously, great food. And if you can as well help the team to go up maybe to the 3rd division, or certainly, as you said, like rise from the ashes of this terrible kind of bankruptcy that they went through with Gerard Lopez, then good on you, Andy Carroll. I'm really happy that you're taking on this challenge. Well done to him.
This is not the John Williams who composed the music to Star Wars, obviously. No? Nor is it Rod
not.
Williams. No.
No. That's another John Williams. Cristiano Ronaldo gets a new coach, Gab. Milan released Stefano Pioli, and he will take over Al Nassr, replacing Luis Castro. Gab, is that a good move for Pioli?
The joke at the San Siro when things were falling apart against Liverpool was people shouting like, "Don't release Pioli, bring him back! Don't release him from his contract." No, look, it's good for him. He's gonna get a payday. He's gonna get a new experience. I don't begrudge him. I think Pioli's realistic. He won a title with Milan. I think he did a lot of very good things. It's not like clubs were falling over themselves to come and sign him. So why not go and cash in? Why not go and coach Cristiano? Yeah, very happy for him. The Women's Champions League Round 2 first legs were this week too. Jules, not a great day for you. Arsenal losing at Hacken 1-0. Juventus beating Paris Saint-Germain.
That's bad.
Paris FC, who I know you're not a fan of, but they are Paris born and bred.
Yeah, of course.
They lose 5-0. But their second legs and everything will be sorted out, no doubt. But what I wanted to ask you about was this a story with Bunny Shaw, who is the Man City striker. She wasn't allowed to travel. They couldn't sort out her visa. Yeah,
there was a mix-up, apparently. That's the way the club described it. Mix-up over her visa to go to Paris. Not really sure how.
She's Jamaican, so she needs a visa to travel to the European Union.
Did they find out at the club that she was Jamaican like yesterday or something?
How could they possibly have known she was Jamaican? How?
I know, I found that bad. I mean, somebody surely is getting sacked in the morning, or should be, because you had one job. One job was just to make sure that everybody could travel with the squads, staff, players. It didn't matter because they were way too good for Paris FC. Jessica Park, Vivienne Miedema on a debut scoring as well. This is a great team, really good Man City team. There's no way back now in the second leg in Manchester next week for Paris FC. For PSG, it's a long way back now in Paris though, next week against Juventus, and Arsenal at home as well, obviously, to Hacken. Let's see how they do, but it would be bad for Arsenal not to qualify for the Champions League for sure. Gab, what time is it?
It's Texter time! That's right, John Texter, the gift that gives on keeps on giving. What is it, like 9 shows in a row we've had him in here?
Yeah.
Like, honestly, this is like... So, this time, obviously... So, he's got the whole thing where he owns, as we know, 45% of Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
He wants to buy Everton. He's negotiated a deal where he's got until November 30th, I think. Oh, the reality is, it's not like if it moves to December, like Everton, Moshiri's going to say, like, oh, no, don't worry about it. But anyway, he needs to sell these shares first. And apparently, he's reportedly, as one tabloid here in England reported, Jay-Z is part of his ownership group. Now,
yeah, he wants Jay-Z to invest.
This idea of having celebrities involved, like, it feels like something a lot of other clubs have done in the past.
Yeah.
Remember, like LeBron James pretended he bought shares in Liverpool, or the nonsense of Will Ferrell and that. Jay-Z seems a bit odd, also because Jay-Z has a lot of his own money, but who knows? I had no idea.
I would love that.
John Texter and JT and Jay-Z were like a thing.
I know,
together. Maybe sold them as a business plan. I don't know, but I also think it's kind of funny. You've really painted yourself into a corner now, because you know that you need to sell these shares, leaving aside the money side.
Yeah.
And I think it's obvious that he needs the money
yeah,
from the
for
sale
sure.
of Palace of his Palace shares to buy Everton.
Yeah.
But the Premier League rules don't allow you to own such stakes in two clubs at once. So how does he have any negotiating leverage when he tries to sell?
He's in such a weak position. That's for sure.
All right, whatever. He's got other stuff going on too.
Yeah.
Aitana Bonmati has signed a new 4-year deal at Barcelona, which will supposedly make her the highest-paid women's player in the world. Jules?
Still nowhere near as much as Mel's player, obviously, but she deserves this big pay contract, big pay rise contract. There was 2 English clubs apparently who made a bid for her in the summer that Barcelona rejected. She's the best player in the world. She will win the Ballon d'Or again. She deserves it, even if she didn't win the Olympics with Spain, which was obviously a big thing and big disappointment. She's been outstanding again all season long, and yeah, I'm just glad that she got rewarded with this big deal. So well done to her.
This is funny though, because what I find interesting is I read a lot of the reporting. Right, I'm going to let you in again on another secret. So Barcelona obviously announced that that she has a 4-year deal, and then they leak on background. Oh, she'll be the highest paid women's player in the world. To which you ask, okay, how much is she making? Well,
We can't tell.
And they don't even tell you what that is.
Yeah.
So I have seen the wildest estimates for how much she could be making, from 600,000 to 3 million. This to me seems like an obvious. Okay, I don't want to teach club comms people how to do your job. This is an obvious situation where you're better off putting a number out there than you are like leaving
For
people to
guess.
speculate.
Yeah, absolutely. Gab, 2 more free agents have found homes in recent days. Anthony Martial, the first one, received a hero's welcome at AEK Athens, and even Perisic will link up with our pal Peter Bosch at PSV Eindhoven. Who do you think will have more of an impact?
Oh, yeah, this is a serious question. Perisic will have more of a serious impact. He's going to win the league with Peter Bosch and PSV. Bosch obviously knows him from his time when they were both in Germany. Perisic is a serious pro. He was always there, whatever. Martial, it was cool to see the pictures at the airport of the AEK Athens cheering and the flares.
I think even the club announced which flight he would be on and what time he would arrive. So
I think they wanted to make sure there were people there to clear him. But obviously, it's a very, very long way back. And look, I know we've made so much fun of Martial over the years. It's not just because we're mean. It's because you have a responsibility. If you earn more money, you need to perform better than others to justify that salary. It's a very simple thing, right? I hate it when people say, oh, what do you care how much you earn? Well, I care because I report on the clubs, and the clubs have resources. You have to decide how to spend it. Martial did not come close to justifying his transfer fee. He did not come close to justifying his contract extensions, and he didn't come close to justifying his wages. Part of that was down to injuries. You hope that's over. I think part of it was also down to the fact that they simply paid too much for him and kept giving him more and more money when he wasn't performing. So, I
still feel it's a waste of the talent because he's so good. He's so talented. He was so good when he was younger. And to go from United, whether he stayed there too long, whether that was even the best move in the first place from Monaco at such a young age, it doesn't matter so much. The fact is now, he's in a club in Athens that is not even... I mean, they did well last season, but I don't know. I found out he's 29 years old.
And there will be pressure in Athens, of course, as well. What is a little bit depressing, and look, these people, is that we know who the people are who did the deal to take him there. And then negotiated his extensions and presumably found him a spot at AK Athens instead of Wolves. But ultimately, all right, you've made him generationally wealthy. But was this really the best thing for his career all these years at United in those circumstances?
I don't know.